Now I want to go over you general technique to actually create multiple histograms. So this worked for one, and it's tempting just to go up to the plt.hist and to copy it in for different ones, but this is a good place to actually create a function. Okay, so let's do that together now. I'm going to copy, go ahead and do this with me. Copy the code, and then let's go to a new coding cell. Sorry, new text cell first. Title it histogram function. And then press Shift Enter and go ahead and put all that code in there. I mean, it's going to be tabbed, right? So you could, okay, Command V. And at the top, we're going to define hist function maybe. Sometimes it's nice to have the function like to label what it does, right? Graph histogram of what? So how about that? Graph hist, right? Because then what's in parentheses is what you're going to graph, and it's simply the column. Now, remember, like when I was writing number, you guys probably thought, man, obviously. Okay, column name, right? I mean, we're all new now to pandas, so that's clear about what goes in there. Now, I want to go back and select everything that I have, if I can with my trackpad. Get it up there, press tab. Okay, that'll tab everything because it's got to be inside the function. And then in place of, like where does column name go? Well, here I've called it dfco2. So I'm going to change that to column name. Now, this is a little bit interesting, right? Because look here, it's also here. Oh, okay. I realize this is a little tricky, right? It's like, how do we get the name out of the column name? Okay, so here's what I want to propose. That column name is a string, and we're going to put the string in here. So you only have to do it once in a function, but then we can make this an f string and put it here. You can see how that's working? So column name is a string. And you would want to specify that actually so people don't get confused. So for instance, docstring, put it in the middle. The following function. By the way, right now, I want to say this clearly. What we are doing is going toward final projects. So it's good if you label everything clearly, because there's a good chance that the code that you're writing today and the histograms that you create today will go into your final portfolio project. Okay, so if you're like, yeah, man, I'm gonna put histograms in mine. We should all be putting histograms. I can tell you. I think that's just like a standard way to show distributions of data. Then it's nice to actually say what the code is doing, so that people who are not experts in pandas, which is most people, can actually make sense of it. So the following function takes the string, see, call name as input, and does what? Well, we could return the histogram, and you could just say, and displays, saves a histogram as output. Okay? In fact, I think it's worth having a save equals true default parameter here. Why? Because maybe you don't want to, I don't want you to clutter up your computer with a bunch of PNG files if you don't want to, okay? So I won't go crazy with the customizations, though I'm tempted. So hey, if we do that, then that would only be if save, right? If it's true, then you save it. You can set it to false and it's not going to save it, okay? And by the way, everywhere you see CS2, we want to change it to an F string with column name. See that? F string column name. So all we're doing here is we are transforming this function. I'm transforming what we did into a function to use for any column here. Okay? It's tricky to do because it can depend on if your columns have consistency here. And, let me just say that sometimes it's worth writing functions to do this, sometimes it's not. The other thing is that it's not critical that you understand every detail of the function. What's nice is once you have it, it's just easy to run them. Okay, let's give it a try. Just give it a try there. So I press Shift Enter. I'm going to put graph hist, and I want to put in some string. Well, what else was there? If I forget, I can go back up, look at it, or instead of going back up, by the way, you can just go to a new code cell. You just look at it again, df.head, it's a little faster. So maybe I want to look at, I mentioned about chlorofluorocarbons, right? CFC-11. I don't have any idea about the difference between CFC-11 and 12. Okay, let's see what happens. This is interesting. Very interesting, I think. Right, because the other data was symmetric. This data is skewed. You see that? Skewed. Why skewed? Because it's like a lot of the values are to the far right, meaning they have high chlorofluorocarbons. Very few have low chlorofluorocarbons. Okay? But you see the beauty of that. You can do another one. Let's do one more. And by the way, me personally, I would consider changing the color. That could be another customization option that you could try. Maybe I could do, let's try aerosols. Right, I mean, we're exploring. I have no idea what it's going to look like. It's better to copy and paste it, I think, than to try to write it in. And you can see this one is like skewed to the left. Okay, so we're getting a lot of different histograms. Now, in case you're wondering, is there a df.columns thing? I think there is, and I'm only showing you this because if you really wanted to, you could probably loop through the columns. I think that's how you would do it for a call in df columns. Can I print the call? Yes. Right, so obviously, you ready for call in df columns? What am I trying to do here? This is a way you can graph them all. Graph hist call. Isn't that kind of cool? And see, it's actually going to show everyone, which is great. Because now we're getting beautiful graphs for each one. And mine are all saving. Yeah, I don't mind. I think they're nice. Pretty cool, right? Got to show you one last thing. You see, you might wonder, is there a better way to do that? Can I just like do it straight out? It takes a ways to get down there. Can I just go df.hist? Will that, like, does that work? Is that a thing? By the way, that's the unwanted stuff. Look at that. It is a thing, right? You can get it straight out just from df.hist. So quickly to tweak it, just put in plt.show. And if you do fig size equals, like I could, if the one was, what was it, 10.6, maybe I could try 5.3. Let's see what that does. No, I better make it bigger. Maybe I'll try the 10.6 thing. Almost there. You don't want it to be overlapped. 12.8, you could just keep tweaking it. My point is that you can also get the histograms all in one here. You can see it requires more tweaking, like the way that they lay them out. So you could go wild with this thing to figure it out. But I don't want to go too far off of the deep end here. The point is this. There you go. That's looking better. You see how to create histograms, and you also see ways that you can extend them. The goal of today's lesson is simply for you to be able to really graph like nice histograms. Converting them into functions and all these special tweaks is definitely optional. I encourage you to at least like try your own colors, get your own title and labels, and try the function if you're really feeling up to it. Okay? It's going to be fun. Job well done.